UFC Vegas 99 is one of those cards that made me want to go kill the neighbor's cat. Just kidding, of course. But it was a fucking terrible card, man. I don't know what the UFC thinks they're doing, just giving us this shit product. I don't know why these guys go in the octagon and just, walk in there with one round of cardio. I'm talking to you, Michelle Pereira. I don't know why they think they shouldn't be practicing their takedown defense, Rebellis to Spain. Why they think pitter-pattery shots and grappling is the way to win fights and promote yourself. Terrible fucking card overall, honestly. We're going to get into it. I went 6-5 on the card, bringing my overall record to 265 and 160. I don't think it was a shit card because of my picks. Listen, there have been plenty of great cards that my picks have been bad on. UFC 300, prime example. I think I went like 6-7. Unbelievable card, top to bottom. I did good on 299. I'm not going to keep fucking... There are cards that I did good on that I didn't love that much. 302 was kind of a fucking shitty card. Until the main event, which was Poirier versus Makhachev, and I went like 10-1 or 10-2. But anyway, let's get into it. Rebellis de Spain does not deserve to be in the UFC. He's a terrible fighter. He has nothing to do in that octagon, has no takedown defense, has no ability to get up. Lost to Austin Lane, a football player from the Jacksonville Jaguars. He fucking lost a fight to. Get Rebellis de Spain out of the sport. He's the most overhyped prospect of all time. Everyone used to talk about him as this big killer. This guy's going to come in here. He's going to knock people out, man. And you're going to see big Taekwondo guy in the Olympics. He sucks. He can't defend a takedown. Austin Lane imposed his will on Rebellis de Spain. I don't want to hear any more Rebellis de Spain talk. He goes into all these fights, crazy high favorites, and gets fucking beat up on, dude. He sucks. The only guy he's beaten in the UFC is Josh Parisian on a flash knockout. He can't throw a kick with staying on balance. Rebellis de Spain is a dog shit fighter. I know I say that UFC fighters aren't dog shit because they're in the UFC. Rebellis de Spain is a bad fighter and has no business being in the UFC, has no business being in MMA. Go back to Taekwondo where you can maybe do something. You fucking suck, buddy. There is no world in which you should be in the sport over someone like Paul Hughes. The fact that Dana White has these two unskilled rat fucks on the roster who don't know how to fight and let Paul Hughes walk over to the PFL where he is about to be a star in the PFL is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Terrible fight. Fuck Rebellis de Spain. Never watching a Rebellis de Spain fight again. Guy is fucking terrible. We're always picking against him. Fuck that dude. Now we move on to another just shit fight of Melissa Martinez versus Elise Ardeline. I don't know how it's a unanimous 30-27. I don't know if we were watching the same fight, but yeah, I do think Melissa Martinez did enough to win. 30-27 is egregious, especially across all scorecards. She really just danced around the outside of the octagon, threw a couple of kicks, a lot of low kicks specifically, threw some kicks, and threw a couple combinations up top. And that was it. Did that every round. Elise Ardeline had moments where she was walking forward and landing good combinations, landing big shots. At one point in this fight, in the third round, I believe it was, Melissa Martinez throws a teep to the body, and it shuts the body off of Elise Ardeline. But Keith Peterson, who smells like booze and cigarettes, just like stops the fight, goes, wait, nut shot, even though she doesn't have balls. Okay, clit shot, whatever you want to fucking call it. You go back to the replay, within 2 seconds you see it was a clean shot, the fight's got to be restarted at that point. Melissa Martinez got robbed of a finish here by terrible officiating. So again, while the judges, I think, didn't do a terrible job tonight, even though the 30-27 across the board is a little questionable, the right person won the fight here. It was a unanimous decision, but Keith Peterson fucked up. Robbed Melissa Martinez of a finish. But again, this wasn't a fun fight, dude. Like, no actual skill being shown in this fight, just women winging punches and dancing around the outside of the octagon. I mean, low level again, dude. Like, low level fight. Melissa Martinez gets it done. She does. She lands not more, but she apparently lands better. Yeah, she hurt Elise Ardeline at times, so yeah, she wins. And then we get, another beauty. Elise Reed versus Jessica Penne. 41-year-old Jessica Penne, what do you know? She didn't have the grit to keep going. Could be her 41-year-old age. Don't know, but I do know because I called it, and that's what happened. Elise Reed wins. Much better on the hands. She actually looked decent. I say that. She went up against Jessica Penne. Yeah, dude, she was landing at will against Jessica Penne. She was waiting, landing counters, landing good combinations, mixing things up pretty well. Not in terms of like takedowns and stuff like that, but in terms of being able to mix some kicks in there. Threw some kicks to the body, threw some kicks to the legs, and landed most of her shots boxing. Like she looked, she landed a high percentage of her strikes on the feet. There were also moments where Jessica Penne was trying to shoot takedowns the whole time, and Elise Reed was really defending all of them. I think she went to the ground one time and then ended up popping up. So, good performance from Elise Reed. Again, low level, nothing crazy impressive. Elise Reed beat up on a 41-year-old woman. She got married. Now her and her wife, of course, she's lesbian. That's why she won, which is okay because that's how you win in MMA. Yeah, I mean, she's calling for like extra money from Dana to help with their honeymoon, which I guess is a good shout. Like, but you're not getting 50K, little bro. Like, no one cared about this fight, and it wasn't like an insane performance. So yeah, is what it is. Elise Reed, Jessica Penne. Elise Reed gets it done by just landing more, being better, being younger. We're gonna move on. I can't believe that Jocelyn Edwards and Tamara Vidal had one of the fights of the card. I actually thought this was a pretty decent scrap. Jocelyn Edwards was just better than her in every which way possible. She was landing so much better than her on the feet. She was more accurate. And listen, I thought Tamara Vidal was going to have some success in grappling, if anything, in this fight. Now, I did think Jocelyn Edwards was going to get it done by finish. I thought she was going to knock her out in like round 2 or 3 because Tamara Vidal gasses out. Tamara Vidal did get tired. But Jocelyn Edwards looked better in the grappling. She had the submission attempts. She had the takedowns. She had the control time in this fight. She just looked better overall against Tamara Vidal. Yeah, so, I mean, I guess the Tamara Vidal being a Brazilian man, probably, didn't fare well against Jocelyn Edwards, who also looks like a man. Panamanian, of course. But Jocelyn Edwards gets it done. Actually, like, solid performance. Ends up getting the choke in round 3. You know, weirdly enough, like Jocelyn Edwards like has a couple of these performances here and there where you're like, damn, like she might get ranked at fucking bantamweight one day, which goes to show how insanely bad the division is. But like, she had a close fight with Eileen Perez. It was pretty close, not gonna lie. Think she's all right. Think she's getting better every time she steps in the octagon. Probably going to be ranked at some point in her career. Never going to fight for a title, in my opinion, but like she's going to be ranked at some point in her career, and she's showing improvements. Like to see how much better she got in the grappling, and she overall put on a pretty good scrap here. So, respect to Jocelyn Edwards for getting a finish. This might be worthy of a performance bonus. I can't believe I'm saying that. Jocelyn Edwards performance bonus. Okay. Gene Matsumoto, Brad Katona. This was a scrap. Both guys just bit down on the mouthpiece, threw down, high output, high energy, high pace, like, really good fight. Brad Katona was having moments where he was landing pretty well. Gene Matsumoto was having moments where he was landing very well. Brad Katona would go for takedowns, like, it's from, like, the second half of round 2 on. Had minimal success. Gene Matsumoto was threatening with that guillotine, but Brad Katona was very, very well aware. Wow, sounding like Curtis Blades over here right now. He was very well aware. That was mean. I don't care, dude. I'm just so fucking mad at how shit the card quality was. But we got UFC 308 this week, so everyone stay dialed in. Brad Katona, Gene Matsumoto. Gene got it done. Landed more damage. It was a good fight. It was a competitive fight, but I do think Gene got the nod. Brad Katona did look really good. He looked good in moments. He had success in moments. And he was very aware in the grappling. Like, listen, Brad Katona's going to go in there and he's going to scrap it out with you, but Gene Matsumoto's legit as fuck. Like, this dude is going to be a problem in the division one day. He's young. He has great grappling, great defensive grappling, great offensive grappling in terms of the submissions that we've seen thus far. Good low kicks, good power in the hands, good speed. I think this guy can be something in bantamweight at some point. And a win over Brad Katona goes very, very far for him in his career. It's a tough winner that he beat. So, again, I thought Brad Katona put on a decent performance. But Gene Matsumoto, man, it was too much for him. He looked good. Just looked really, really good. So, kudos to Gene Matsumoto. This guy can be something in the bantamweight division. We're keeping an eye on him very closely. I don't want to hear anyone tell me how entertaining grappling is for all fights, because here's another example of when grappling's not fun. We see the Moicano experience. We see Islam Makhachev. Who else just had a really entertaining grappling performance? Chase Hooper's had one. We see a lot of these guys have really entertaining grappling performances, but we see Asu Almabayev go out there and just it's boring. I thought it was a very boring fight. The first fight, Mateusz Nicolau landed 16 significant strikes in 15 minutes. Asu Almabayev landed 22. The fuck was this fight? Shitty, low-level MMA. I don't care what people are saying. What do you mean low-level MMA, dude? You're not a hardcore. I enjoy the sport, and I like seeing technique and things done really well in the sport. I didn't see a single fucking lick of technique on the feet in this fight. I saw takedowns landed, but all I saw was holding. At the end of round 3, Almabayev was starting to actually land some damage. But it took him 12 and a half minutes to do something with his grappling, so I was not impressed with the performance from Asu Almabayev. I always thought Mateusz Nicolau was overrated and shit. Almabayev wins. Round 1 is very slow paced. Almabayev edges it out because he had 6 significant strikes and Mateusz Nicolau had 2. That's the kind of fight we're talking about here. And there wasn't much grappling involved in that first round either. Round 2 comes around. Mateusz Nicolau wins the second round. Just has a threatening guillotine in. Really, really tight, very close. So good in terms of the scrambles. Asu Almabayev had some very good scrambles. I will say that. Gets out of the guillotine, and then round 3 comes along. He gets a knockdown and then just keeps control and lands some ground and pound for the rest of the round. That was really this fight. Low level, shit fight. Neither of these guys are going to be champions one day. Listen, I actually have a ton of respect for the Kazakhstani fan base and the way they get behind their fighters. But I'm going to say it right now. You can comment the flag as much as you want in this comment section, dude. Asu Almabayev is not it. Really isn't. Dude, he's just not as good. Shavkat's him. Shavkat's him, even though Bilal's taking it. I'm sorry. But Asu Almabayev's not it. Azat Maxim, not it. I'm sorry. Those guys are just not that good. They're ranked. They're in the UFC. They'll be in the rankings. But, and maybe Azat Maxim will make it to the rankings. Asu Almabayev's in there. He's going to find himself in a top 10 somehow by beating a somehow number 7 or 8 ranked Mateusz Nicolau. Okay, while Charles Johnson actually puts on decent performances and can't get ranked for shit. Okay. But Asu Almabayev wins. Nothing overly impressive. Nothing to be hyped about. Darren Elkins won a fight in 2024. Dude, I really don't like Darren Elkins, man. This may be a hot take. He just fucking bothers me and annoys me. His gritty, old man, 1984 MMA, even though it wasn't a thing, 1990s MMA style where he just walks forward, shoots takedowns, has relentless pressure. And then Cruz, dude. You would think Cruz was married to this guy, the way he was glazing him on commentary. Oh my God, there's Elkins with another scramble. I mean, these scrambles, and even when they're on the feet, he's winning the outside foot battle. Shut the fuck up, Dominic Cruz. You don't know how to call fights anymore. What is this guy? This is the same guy that tried to convince you that McGregor was gassing Khabib out when he was taking punishment in ground and pound. What are you talking about, Dominic Cruz? Glazing Darren Elkins like crazy. Daniel Pineda's landing really good shots in the feet. And all we're seeing is the glaze for Darren Elkins. Pineda gets a submission, and but Darren Elkins, he knows this all too well. He's going to get out of it. Oh, look, he got out of it. Dude, you are so insufferable to listen to, Dom Cruz. What the fuck? And he's dragging Felder into it. He's like, Felder, man, how tough is this guy? How tough is this guy to keep walking through? He called him the damage, and the reason he's called the damage is because he's taking too much fucking brain damage. This guy, in his post-fight speech, isn't putting sentences together. He's not saying words that are real words. This is a serious concern. Darren Elkins is 40. He got a win in the UFC. How the fuck did that happen? He's shit. He's a shit fighter. He fights anyone with any skill. He's going to lose. He's shit. I don't get it, dude. Hated this fight. Hated every minute of it. I don't like Darren Elkins fights. I think they're ugly, low-level, and boring to watch. I will tell you right now, if any of you try and tell me that Darren Elkins is at a high level, shut the fuck up. You're the casual. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about just because you've been watching the sport for long enough where Darren Elkins was significant. That doesn't make you a hardcore. That just makes you an old guy that's lasted around for a pretty long time. That's all it makes you. So stop trying to tell me Darren Elkins is high level. Stop trying to tell me he's this entertaining marauder of a fighter. This guy sucks. But he got the win over Daniel Pineda because guess what? Daniel Pineda also kind of sucks. I just thought he'd have the power to knock out Elkins in round one. But I can't stand Darren Elkins, dude. He's just one of those guys that I look at and I get angry looking at. So Elkins gets the win. Was not a robbery. This was a clear 29-28 for Darren Elkins because when he would get the control, and Daniel Pineda is so dumb, the amount of guillotines he went for. Listen, when the first two don't go in, what the fuck makes you think 3, 4, and 5 are going to go? I don't know. I don't know where that intelligence comes in. He retired. Good for him. He did retire. He should have retired. He's coming off a 3-fight losing streak. Lost to Darren Elkins in 2024. So, yeah, gotta retire. Respect to you. Thanks for, having some fun in the octagon for us. But, yeah, dude. All right, that's fine. I can tell you're emotional in the cage. It is what it is. Like, not gonna miss you. Just anyway, Darren Elkins also won't miss you when you fucking retire. Just because you're literally the lowest level of the sport and somehow you rattled off a win. I don't get it. Don't understand the sport sometimes. Shit performance, dude. I hate watching Darren Elkins fight. Fucking A. Jake Hadley is bad. I'm just going to say it, dude. He's fucking bad. I can't believe... All he does is blast that low kick, lands his 1-2, and backs up the entire time. Cameron Smotherman just got to walk him down for 3 rounds and just beat him up. That's all he did. He walked him down, landed good strikes. Kudos to Cameron Smotherman for taking this on like a couple days' notice and tuning up Jake Hadley. Jake Hadley literally backed up the entire fight. Could not go forward, could not actually implement his grappling, landed a couple of low kicks, and then a 1-2. 1-2. Jake Hadley's terrible, dude. Like, I don't know what you think you're doing. You're backing up the whole time. I want to be a UFC fighter. Listen, I'm sorry for the performance I had against Cameron Smotherman. He came out there better, and I know I only went 28 for 124 on the significant strikes, or the strikes to the head, but hey, I gave it my all. Jane, I'm sorry I missed weight on the Contender Series, but I got finished. I promise I'll make weight every time. Oh, by the way, we're moving up to 135 in my first fight against Colin Lochran. I'm gonna miss weight. Fuck off, Jake Hadley. You literally suck. I can't believe this guy does the same thing every fight where he just back up, let your opponents oppose their will, land a 1-2. Let your opponents tee off on you, land a 1-2. Mix in a low kick. Oh, that's what we got from Jake Hadley. Terrible fight. Cameron Smotherman looked good, though. His combinations were slick. They were smooth. He was landing to the body very well. That left hook to the body was money. Anytime he'd throw the 2, he would follow up with that left hook to the body, and it was landing every time. And that reminded Jake Hadley, oh, maybe I should throw to the body. Idiot, dumb, stupid fighter. But Cameron Smotherman looked good. I think he's a really young guy. Trains with Brady Highstand, I believe. So I expect this guy to keep getting better. Plus 400 underdog, man. Big work, like on such short notice. Ton of respect for him. Being able to just take this fight, get poked in the eye, get kicked in the balls, and honestly, the intelligence level on Cameron Smotherman. Hey, I have 5 minutes, right? Telling Chris Tognoni what he should be doing in terms of a job. I have 5 minutes. I will be okay. Give me a little bit of time. Mad respect to Cameron Smotherman. Shows the fight IQ, shows the intelligence of this kid. Like him a lot. Do think Cameron Smotherman has a place here in the UFC. He's better than Jake Hadley already. So, good win for Smotherman. Jake Hadley just has no answers. Like, he's one more loss from getting cut and never being seen. Like, I'm not opposed if the UFC cut him right now. Can't beat a guy on a couple days' notice when you're supposed to be, a skilled fighter. Okay. Charles Johnson versus Sumaderji. This was a great fight. This was actually a really good fight. Like watching Charles Johnson fight. He had power in his hands. Sumaderji looked good on the feet too. So kudos to Sumaderji for looking good on the feet, working on his grappling defense, actually putting in submissions. He almost had an armbar and a triangle choke in round 2. But round 1 started, and it looked like Charles Johnson was having some problems finding his range. He was landing a couple of shots, but nothing of power. He was having trouble tracking down Sumaderji. Sumaderji was using his length very, very well. Footwork was good. His hands were in good spots where he was kind of like playing with Charles Johnson. I didn't like that. Where he was keeping Charles Johnson at range, using his hands as like a range finder. So good work from Sumaderji, but listen, Charles Johnson did land some shots in the first round, but Sumadarji looked really good as well. We get to round 2, and Charles Johnson actually starts the round looking like it's round 1, and then eventually finally closes the distance, gets Sumadarji against the cage, and starts teeing off, lands big shots, gets a knockdown, almost knocks out Sumadarji, almost finishes Sumadarji. But then all of a sudden Sumadarji survives, lasts this fight. He's getting teed off on. But then he throws up, they get into like the grappling, and Sumadarji throws up a triangle that's almost in. Then he tries to transition it to an armbar that's almost in. But Charles Johnson's scrambles are so good, especially, and to be this good at flyweight, even against Sumadarji, who has actually improved tremendously in the grappling. But to get out of these submissions, dude, it's not easy. Charles Johnson is fucking game. His scrambles are really good. Charles Johnson wins round 2, and then round 3 comes around, and they really have a pretty good scrap. Sumadarji has some success. Charles Johnson has some success, but Charles Johnson ends up getting a takedown, I believe it was in this round, and ends up securing the fight. Good performance from Charles Johnson. Round 2 was a fucking scrap, dude. Really good fight. And Sumadarji has improved tremendously as well, so I'm very interested to see how these guys' careers turn out. It's time that Charles Johnson gets a ranked opponent, guys, or just put him at 15. You have Matt Schnell at 15. He took his gloves off and left him in the octagon. I don't think he's coming back, guys. Just a quick hint. Don't think he's coming back. Charles Johnson has looked good, won 4 in a row now. A couple of his losses that happened prior were also bad decisions as well. So Charles Johnson deserves to be in the rankings and start to work up those rankings. I think a Nicolau fight looks good. I think an Almabaya fight looks good. I think he can beat both of those guys, and I think Charles Johnson is top 10 at flyweight level. I'm going to say it. This guy's showing us that now he has power. I'm excited for Charles Johnson. I think he looked really good, and I think Sumadarji looked good as well, so let's keep Sumadarji around and keep him active. He looked really good in this fight as well, so good performance all around. One of the better fights of the night. I'd say fight of the night is this one right here. Then Kyler Phillips, Rob Font. Kyler Phillips, man, this guy is so overrated. Listen, this is another guy that has a round of cardio in him. Really does. Like, every time we see him in rounds 2 and 3, he, like, just gasses out. Now, he goes for it at all points in this fight. Goes for it and goes for the takedowns. Throws as many strikes as he can. But Rob Font was fucking game, dude. Rob Font went to Canada, trained with Fares Zahabi, and worked on his get-ups and takedown defense. That first round, he got taken down, and he was held down there for like 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes almost. Ends up getting up to the feet, losing round 1 because Kyler Phillips just implemented his grappling. But round 2 comes around, Kyler Phillips gets his takedown, and Rob Font pops back up in like 30 seconds, 40 seconds. So he showed his improvement, and he stays on the feet. And when they're on the feet, Rob Font is just levels above Kyler Phillips. Absolutely levels above. Better boxing, landing his jab, landing the 2 behind it. And he's doing this thing like he did against Adrian Yanez where he's like grabbing Kyler Phillips and just shovel uppercut hooking him. Like it was crazy, and he was hitting him hard. Like Kyler Phillips was getting tagged. Rob Font put it on him and beat his ass in round 2. And then the same thing happened in round 3. Kyler Phillips was shooting takedowns, got a takedown. Rob Font pops right back up and then beats his ass on the feet the whole time. The boxing of Rob Font looked really good. He showed that he still got some pop in his shots, and he's showing tremendous improvements in his takedowns. Kyler Phillips showed us he's got 1 round in him, but when you make him stand on the feet, the dude ain't that good. He really isn't. He has some flashy, crazy strikes, but if you're going to stand there in boxing range with him, you are going to piece this guy up. He doesn't really know how to get out of the boxing range cleanly. Like, it just feels that way. Every time he's in the boxing range, he's getting beat up. When he's at kicking range, he has a little bit more ability to go to the body, go low, throw a couple crazy kicks up high. But when you keep him in boxing range, dude, his defense isn't that good at all. Like, he moves, but he doesn't block. And he just doesn't know how to get away from the boxing range cleanly. So that's what I learned from this fight, is if you get in the boxing range of Kyler Phillips, you can have your way. And Rob Font did that. He looked really fucking good. So kudos to Rob Font. Big performance there. Staying in the top 10 ranked. Should be below Aldo, but should be above Mario Batista because Mario Batista's a bitch. And we move on. Now, I got something to say about Michel Pereira, man. How the fuck are you in the top 15 at welterweight and give us a flurry and some takedown defense worth of cardio. The fuck was that? Like, you showed up and you just went in there trying not to get... Like, he showed up there and it looked like he didn't want to win after the first minute. Like, he landed a great flurry on Anthony Hernandez and hurt his body very, very bad. He was hurt bad. And then Anthony Hernandez just marched forward, was shooting takedowns, got some of them. The first couple, Michel Pereira was able to stuff very, very well. But it's like round 2 came around and he's like, yeah, I don't really care anymore. I don't want to be in this fight. If he's going to shoot a million takedowns on me, I don't want to be here. Didn't want to throw anything with fight-ending intentions. Didn't have anything left in the tank. His corner told him to take a round off in round 3 against a pressure fighter. A guy that is going to relentlessly shoot takedowns on him and eventually get the take a round off. Are you serious? I think it was Chris Curtis in the corner. What the fuck are we talking about? Take a round off against Anthony Hernandez when you're already down 2 rounds. I'm appalled. I'm appalled at the corner work. I'm appalled at Michel Pereira's ability to last more than 5 minutes. He can't do it. 5 minutes, 3 minutes. I'm appalled at Michel Pereira's willingness to stay in there and win. He just quit. Now, good performance from Anthony Hernandez. Let's not take anything away from that. Michel Pereira, you're literally just not cut for it. I don't know what the fuck that performance was, dude. Super disappointing. Didn't show up. But Anthony Hernandez did show up, and he does what he says he's going to do every fight. He's going to break people, and he's going to wear them down. They gave him 5 rounds. He got the finish. Listen, he was able to take down Michel Pereira 10 times. He shot 29, so he landed 33% of his takedowns. But he was just in on the legs the whole time. Had tons of control, whether it's against the fence or he finally got into a dominant position on the ground. And then he started landing his shots. Now, when they were on the feet, he was landing pitter-patter, dirty boxing shots that were pretty good. But when they got to the ground, he was landing pitter-patter shots. But when he postured up, he was landing really good, solid elbows. So high-level grappling from Anthony Hernandez. Great performance. Looked very, very good. But he had an opponent that didn't show up. And I feel like that takes away from his performance a little bit. Anthony Hernandez looked great. Is going to continue to look great in the UFC. And I think this guy's a real problem for the middleweight division. I think he can tire just about anyone out in the middleweight division. But this guy, while he's a problem, and it's not his fault. He made Michel Pereira wilt, but Michel Pereira did not show up for this fight. I can't be convinced that a guy can look as good as he has at middleweight and then show up and look that bad at a fight. Especially in a main event. Good performance from Anthony Hernandez. Terrible performance from Michel Pereira. This card was shit overall, but hey guys, we got UFC 308 this weekend. Also want to talk about Francis Ngannou really quick. So first of all, kudos to Chris Cyborg. Paul Hughes looked really good against AJ McKee. He should be in the UFC. I don't know what the UFC's doing. Dana not signing him, but having Rebels to Spain and Austin Lane in the roster. Ridiculous. Chris Cyborg, good performance. Seeing a lot of people call her the GOAT. Really? Because I seem to remember a particular woman in the UFC beating her ass in 1 round really fucking badly. Johnny Eblen won, boring fashion again, typical Johnny Eblen fight. Doesn't make it in the top 15 of the UFC. I don't know who the fuck's calling him the best middleweight in the world right now. Stupid. Francis Ngannou, while I'm very happy to see him win, looked good. Great double, unbelievably timed double, perfectly timed double leg. Good control, using hand control, landing some good ground and pound shots, but the finishing sequence was a bunch of illegal blows. I'll say it. Landed a bunch of shots to the back of the head, bunch of illegal blows, but hey, I was there to see Francis win. He won. Cheating's legal in MMA. You can't convince me otherwise. Francis did land a bunch of illegal shots, but you know what? Kudos, Francis, because we all wanted to see you win. You got in there and you got the win. I don't know what this talk is about Francis beating Aspinall. Don't know about that. But I think he beats Jones. I really do. Especially if he can wrestle. He can beat Jones. He's going to beat him on the feet. But he's going to, he beats Jones. I'm just going to say it. But yeah, this was the recap. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like and subscribe. It was a shit card. So if you want to dislike, I don't give a fuck. No effort. I'm pissed off, dude. This card sucked. But hey, UFC 308 this weekend, and that is a guaranteed deliver. So sign, seal, deliver. Let's fucking go.